2.3 billion people live across this vast continent called Asia. And we are telling their stories. On this edition, Power Hungry. Thailand goes next door to meet the rising demand for electricity. But will it come at a huge cost? Finding their voices. How a shop in Turkey is giving women something they're not accustomed to, a sense of independence.
Because you're very proud that you're facilitating this growth in this person, but you're also very sad that this is the first time in her life that she's at this position.
I'm Martin Lowe, and this is Assignment Asia. Welcome to the program. Our theme this week is power. And in Thailand, the demand for electricity is going up every year. So much so, the government is working hard to keep the energy supplies flowing. Their latest project is a new coal-fired power plant they've built just next door in Laos. But a similar facility in Thailand was proven to have had a disastrous impact on local villagers. I travelled to both plants in Thailand and in Laos to investigate whether enough is being done to prevent the same thing from happening again. Like many in her village, Yang is sick and often needs oxygen to breathe. She's 70 years old and may not survive much longer. Many from her generation, including her husband, have died already. But all ages, adults and children, are unwell here. Yang can no longer speak, but when she could, she cursed the nearby power station and coal mine. Here in Thailand, there's strong opposition to the industrial burning of coal, in large part due to this power plant at Mae Mok. Emissions from its chimneys and dust from its mine are blamed for dozens of deaths, with many more sick. But Thailand, like many developing Asian nations, has a growing hunger for electricity. Demand goes up each year. Thailand is about to complete construction of another coal-burning power plant, but this time it's just across the border in Laos. Some claim it's because environmental standards and opposition there are weaker.
เป็นคำถามที่ดีมากเลยนะคะเพราะว่าก็จะบอกให้ว่ามันก็เหมือนกับที่เนี่ยมันก็เหมือนที่แม่มอ
What's happening in Laos right now is exactly what happened to us in Mae Mok many years ago.
กำลังมองว่าเมื่อก่อนที่แม่มอเนี่ยเป็นมันยังไม่ได้พัฒนาอะไร
We were exploited because we need an industry.
ที่สนับสนุน
Now Thailand is exploiting Laos because the country needs to develop.
ย้อนกลับไปว่าเข้าตั้งหาง
Maliwan Nakwirot is a regular visitor to the homes of the sick and dying in Mae Mok. She leads a group that successfully blocked expansion at the power plant and won government money to treat those who are ill. Many people have been diagnosed with respiratory illness, including asthma and lung disease. Ironically, Maliwan only moved to Mae Mok after her husband took a job at the plant. Now she and her son both have breathing problems. Her husband left the power station when she began campaigning, but because it's a big employer in the area, a second son still works there.
ทีแรกเราไม่ทราบอะไรเลยเราไม่รู้อะไรเลยว่ามันมีผลกระทบทางด้านสุขภาพ
At first, we didn't know our health was being affected, but we started to complain about the smell. We knew the smell came from the power plant.
ไปร้องเรียนให้ผู้ใหญ่บ้านให้ผู้นำหมู่บ้านเนี่ยว่าให้ช่วยเหลือเรา
We held rallies against the power company, but they didn't take any responsibility.
พวกเราฟันธงอย่างนั้นแล้วก็แต่ว่าทุกอย่างมันก็เงียบไป
We were advised to get health checks, so we sent 142 people to the hospital to have x-rays. All 142 showed effects on their lungs.
Thailand's Supreme Court has ordered electricity authorities to pay compensation of around $1 million to villagers who've been made sick and the families of some who've died. After a 12-year legal battle, this is the first official recognition that emissions at Mê Mò have affected people's health. Thailand's leading environmental medicine specialist has been studying this issue for 17 years.
Mê Mò people who got sick about the respiratory problem, they got two diseases most together and make them more serious than just get one. They got pneumoconiosis from the coal dust. And the second one, they got the sulfur dioxide poisoning, but long term too, from the sulfur dioxide in the air. Both of them are the pollutant that there's a lot in the area that they resident. So I think that, my opinion, that they got these two diseases from the pollutant that related to the source of the pollutant, that is Mê Mò plant, electrical plant.
Dr. Orapun says her job is to treat sickness, not to lay blame. But she has this advice for her patients.
I recommend my patient not to go back to the place and ask them to evacuate themselves outside first to save their life.
The plant at Mê Mò has been operating since 1974. It's claimed little was known then of the risk to human health, but in recent years new equipment has been installed to greatly reduce emissions. People who live here breathe the coal, dust and sulphur fumes from the power plant every day. The power industry says it now has a better understanding of the health risks, better technology, and uses what it calls clean coal. But for those for whom just breathing is a daily struggle, the term clean coal is one they find impossible to accept. Laos is a mountainous country with limited agriculture. Its main economic strategy is to become the battery of Asia, supplying power to its neighbours. Hong Sa, just 30 kilometres inside its borders, will bring in vitally needed foreign income, around $2 billion over the life of the plant, as well as jobs for Lao people. Thailand will buy almost 90% of the electricity generated.
I rather see it a win-win situation. I mean, with the partnership with Thailand, Laos has a chance to develop large projects. At the same time, Thailand partnering with Laos, they have a chance to have a very secure supply of power.
Laos is already in a controversial partnership with Thailand over the Xayaburi Dam, a hydropower project that has been criticised by neighbouring countries for possible effects on fish stocks and the flow of the Mekong River. Laos argues large projects always attract opposition.
If you look at the pollution that the lignite-fired power plant may cause, that I would say everybody has a good reason. You want to develop like Xayaburi hydropower, they are against it. You want to develop coal, they are against it. I mean, so you have to make the choice. But I depends on the benefit. If the benefit sharings are more than and the environment impacts are acceptable, why not?
Push more higher requirement in the design step.
Boon Chai Jarun Warapan is Deputy Managing Director of the Hong Sa facility. As a Thai, he knows the sensitivity over coal-fired plants.
The problem as we found in Thailand in Mê Mò project, this is a lesson learned.
He says Hong Sa is a more advanced plant than Mê Mò. It meets all environmental and safety standards, and the health of those in and around the plant will be regularly monitored.
We also develop the problem and the knowledge, know-how for Mê Mò to concern about this area. We also start from the initial to study the area. We do the simulation for the environmental around this area.
At Mê Mò, a plan for emission reduction was introduced in 1998, and in 2015 the Thai government signed a $1 billion contract with a joint Japanese-French consortium to build a new, cleaner power plant to replace some of the aging facilities.
Environmental impact, that anyhow we have to care of that. And now the technology of the clean coal, I think that we can accept that. Right? For the clean coal technology, we can reduce the emission of the sulfur dioxide, reduce the emission of nitrogen dioxide, and we reduce the emission of the particulate.
Despite these efforts, many are skeptical that enough is being done.
เทคโนโลยีทำได้นะคะแต่ว่า
I think that technology can develop clean coal, but I don't believe in the system.
เพราะว่าประเทศไทยไม่มีเรื่องที่
As long as malpractice and corruption exists in this country, clean coal is just out of reach.
Thailand's Power Authority says producing more electricity is vital to economic growth. It says rising demand is equivalent to the output of one new power plant every year.
I think that everyone knows that to drive the economy, the electricity maybe is the most important thing. And the economic growth, we call it GDP. Right? Nowadays, when the GDP growth, we need the electricity to drive that growth, allow the same percentage of growth. Like if we want GDP grow by 4%, it means that we need the electricity growth by 4%.
At present, 70% of Thailand's electricity is generated by natural gas, but coal is still one of the best options. It's 60% cheaper than gas and provides energy security.
If we bring that gas by the 100,000 tons from, say, Middle East, come here, it take around 2 weeks. That gas can use or can supply for the generation allow that we use only half a day. That's impossible that we have to depend on that LNG. But for the coal, you see that we can store it, the coal that for 3 months or 6 months. So that I told you that for the coal is more reliable and the price is more sustainable.
New coal-burning plants are being proposed in southern Thailand, at Krabi and Songkhla. And in the long term, Thailand wants to build even more. In the meantime, turning to Laos has allowed Thailand to avoid the long delays associated with big industrial projects, like public inquiries and environmental assessments. Building a power plant in another country shows the lengths to which some developing nations will go in their desperate search for new sources of energy, as large rural populations abandon traditional fuels like wood and farm waste and demand electricity. It's calculated there's enough lignite coal in the ground here at Hongsa to keep this plant running for at least the next 25 years. Back in Thailand, it's another sad visit for Maliwan. She's come to the home of a rice farmer, Chan, who's just died after 10 years of suffering. His body lies in this decorated coffin, awaiting cremation. His family says his illness was caused by the power plant. They feel angry, but helpless.
If we could choose, we would want the power plant to move, but are they willing to move?
As an alternative, campaigners like Maliwan are urging the government to use cleaner energy resources like solar power.
If they were to build clean and sustainable power plants, we would agree to that. But we will never agree to coal plants because they are not clean. Now, not only have they ruined the health of people in Mae Moi, they are about to ruin Lao people's lives too, or in the worst case, people from both sides of the border.
The arguments go on. The power industry says it can now build safe coal plants, and more are needed. Opponents remain unconvinced. Many will be watching if those living in the shadow of the Laos plant suffer any ill effects, or if the environmental protection measures will pay off. One thing not in dispute is the need to find fuel for soaring demand. Fuel that is both cheap and clean. The Hongsa plant in Laos is expected to begin generating electricity later this year. Still to come on Assignment Asia. How one shop in Turkey is giving women a new sense of freedom. This week we're focusing on power. And in the case of our next story, power is something that comes from within. In Turkey, a small shop in a coastal town employs women to turn trash into treasure. But what my colleague Mikal Bar-David discovered is that these women are doing something far more valuable. They're finding their own voices.
Bir de içimde böyle bir korku vardı. Acaba başarabilir miyim korkusu. Hiç çalışmamışız ya. Onun bir korkusu herhalde, böyle alışmamışız dışarıda çalışmaya.
5 days a week, Sıdıka comes here to work. She spends her days drawing, cutting, sewing.
Yaptığım işi beğenildi mi çok hoşuma gidiyor. Kendimle gurur duyuyorum.
Seeing Sıdıka at work may not seem so unusual outside Turkey, but here it is. Turkey is a male-dominated country. Only 1 out of every 4 women take part in the labor force. Despite the touristic facade, Ayvalık is no different. Many of the women here have never been employed.
What we are doing ultimately threatens to wreck the status quo, and that's very scary, particularly in a society where the roles are very set.
Tara Hopkins is an American who's been living in Turkey for over 20 years. Having witnessed Turkey's male-dominated society for so long, she wanted to do something to empower women.
My grandmother was a policewoman. My mother worked. It was never a question that I wouldn't work. It was never a question that I wouldn't go to school. It's not the same here.
So in 2007, Tara came up with an idea for a business that explored ways of creating fashionable products from recycled or throwaway materials, something that was also kind to the environment. The challenge was finding women who wanted to, or more importantly, were not afraid to transform their lives. Tara's first employee was her next-door neighbor, Sıdıka. At 48 years old, Sıdıka never worked before and was enthusiastic about the idea. She became the first so-called garbage lady, but it took some getting used to.
Çok konuşamayan, içine kapanık bir insan gibiydim. Heyecandan mı, korkudan mı bilemiyorum. Bakıyorum arkadaşların hepsine, hiç kimsede ses yok. Ben dedim ki Sıdıka, sen de sesini çıkarma, rezil olma. İlk başladığın işe yani yapamıyorum deme. Şöyle geçeyim ben şimdi. Yapmayız.
In a short amount of time, with patience, support, and cooperation, Tara opened her shop, Çöp Madam, which means garbage ladies in Turkish. The shop has 45 employees and sells about 3,000 bags a year. One of Tara's criteria is to hire women who've never made their own money before.
When I give the woman her first money, I give her the money that she's earned and then kiss her on both cheeks. And inevitably I start to cry. Inevitably she starts to cry. It's a bittersweet moment because you're very proud that you're facilitating this growth in this person, but you're also very sad that this is the first time in her life that she's at this position.
İlk maaşımı almak çok güzel. Haftalık 75 lira. İlk 5 çanta yapıyorduk ilk seneler. 5 çantada bir paramızı alıyorduk haftada bir gün. 75 lira almıştım. O paranın heyecanını, sevincini inan hiçbir şeyler tarif edemez. Yani öyle bir özgüven de geldi yani hepimize kadın olarak. Biraz da çatışmada olmadı değil ama yaptık yani. Bu 6 seneyi doldurduk. Bir kızımı okuttum üniversitede. Elimden geldiği kadar faydam oldu ona. Eşimin gönderemediği yerde ben gönderdim.
Though Turkey is a modern, civilized country, it still has a long way to go when it comes to gender equity. In the World Economic Forum's 2014 Global Gender Gap Report, the country ranked near the bottom, 125th out of 142. The problem lies not in the availability of jobs for females, but in the mentality of the Turkish culture, the belief that the woman's role is inside the home. Businesses like Çöpmadam and a growing number of NGOs that help women get jobs in Turkey create the potential for social change. And even though some may see it as a threat, it's creating a new kind of empowerment.
Söylüyorum zaten. Hiç korkmayın. Onlara destek veriyorum. Hiç korkmayın. Ben de sizin gibi böyle ilk başladığım zaman korktum, ettim. Bazen buradaki arkadaşlarımız bizden ayrılıp işe girdiler. Çok arkadaşımız var işe girdi.
Support from fellow women is one thing, but a husband's attitude regarding his wife's actions carries great significance. For Sıdıka, she's one of the lucky ones. Halil is Sıdıka's husband, father of the 2 kids and a retired house painter.
Eşim mesela diyorum hadi ben çalışmıyorum. Eşim çalışıyor. O yorgundur. En azından bir çayını koyayım, bir peynirini hazırlayayım, kahvaltısını hazırlayayım. Kalkarız beraber kahvaltımızı ederiz. O işine gider. Ben evde biraz işlerim. Ben de tekneme giderim. Hatta bayanlar kocasını bekler ya, eşini bekler. Ben bu sefer kendi bayanı bekliyorum. Yani, tabii ki onu saygı duyduğum için. Şimdi yıllarca o bana yaptı. Ben işe çalışırken. Yıllarca o bana yaptı. Bir anda bunu düşünerek yıllarca o bana hizmet etti. Ben niye etmeyeyim diye düşündüm.
Not all husbands are as understanding. In many rural areas in Turkey, a working woman is still a new and often unacceptable concept. For some of the women here in Çöpmadam, coming to work meant standing their ground and defying their husband. Nigar has worked for Çöpmadam since 2008. For her, she showed her own bit of independence even before she started working.
Eve geldim, eşime dedim böyle böyle. Kime sordun dedi. Hiç kimseye sormadım. Kendim gittim. Kendi başıma dedim gittim. Çalışacaksın, çalışmayacaksın. Evet. Ben dedim çalışacağım. Ne yaparsan yap. Yani istersen dedim yani yataklara kadar ayırabilirsin. Benim için hiç önemli değil. Biz 15 gün iyi kötü bir kavgalar yaptık. Baktık ki hakkımdan da gelemedi açıkçası doğruya doğru. Yani biraz baskın gelince oturdu.
Nigar believes what is starting now will certainly be passed on to the next generation.
Ve kız çocuklarını muhakkak okutmak gerekiyor. Okutacaksın ki bilinçli bireyler yetişsin. Dileğim onların başarılı birer anne olmaları ileride. Çalışan bir anne. Evlendiklerinde çalışan bir anne olsunlar. Kocaların eline bakmasınlar, ezilmesinler. Artık yeter.
With a gradual shift in perspectives, the number of females in the workforce in Turkey could increase, but it will certainly be a slow process. Tara's hope is that in time, more and more women will answer their phone during the day and say, I'm at work. For Assignment Asia, I'm Michal Vardavid in Ayvalık, Turkey.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Don't forget you can watch all of our stories on our website, www.assignment-asia.com. You can also share your thoughts and contribute story ideas for future shows by contacting us on social media. I'm Martin Lowe. Thanks for watching, and join us again on Assignment Asia.